Any preference?
Here ain't coming very much. Ready? Call this meeting in order. All stand, place the flag, pledge allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Maybe see your face. Roll call, Britton Luther.
Present.
R.J. Donovan.
Here.
Tim Yocum. I am here. Approval of minutes.
Motion to approve minutes.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of claims.
Motion to approve claims.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll open this meeting this morning with public comment. If anyone has public comment, please limit yourself to 3 minutes and come up, identify yourself at the podium.
Ron Mack, County Surveyor. It began last summer. I'm out in the field. I've been trying to use our county GIS system on my phone. And I don't know if you're aware of it, but along the state line in northeast corner of the county, internet service is bad. You can't get to it. And to get to the GIS, you got to go through our county website, which is not mobile friendly. And from the website, then you got to get to the GIS, which then you have to log on to the GIS, and it's just a big, long, cumbersome process that really doesn't work well. So I thought, well, maybe I could find an old laptop in the county somewhere that I could use when I'm out in the field. Sent out an email to all the departments and said, hey, has anybody got an old laptop they're not using? Can I have it? And nobody had one. So Ash was in my office one day, and I said, hey, Ash, I need some way of getting on the GIS or just the maps when I'm out in the field so I can see where I'm at and what I'm doing. And he said, well, you really need a laptop, and he put together a price quote. We got the quote. I put in for an additional appropriation from the council, but then Brenda says, hey, wait a minute, the commissioners have IT funds. Why don't you see if they can take care of that for you? So I just made a copy of the appropriation request and the quote for you guys, so you can take one, pass it down, and Brenda, you've already got a copy, right? So if you would consider that, that's a time-sensitive quote. It's due January the 11th. The second thing, real quick, as you know, I've been really working hard on trying to take a look at the regulated drains in the county, and it come under quite a bit of scrutiny, really. And the reason is, I think, is that we really don't have anybody in our county government who derives their income or any benefit directly from production agriculture in the county. So there's a lack of appreciation of how important that is. And talking to a lot of the old timers, doing a lot of my research, they says, hey, we really appreciate what you're doing. I said, well, that's fine, dandy, but the people whose support I need don't know these things. So I asked the Soil and Water Conservation District and the County Farm Bureau to write letters of support. So here's a copy of those for each of you. And I think and Brenda, there's a copy of that.
Ron, when you're talking about support, are you talking about the project you're trying to do now?
Well, all of them. There's 8 regulated drains that have to be evaluated.
Should this not be an agenda item?
Yeah, it should be an agenda item.
Not a public comment.
I'm just submitting these letters of support for your record. So it'll be in the minutes.
I would like to put you on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
For the ditch project working on. I think it needs to be. You need to have a part of the public meeting next time to discuss that here.
Okay.
We'll put you on the agenda for next meeting.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I've talked to the State Board of Accounts. I've got phone calls to the bond bank and Old National. Be talking with them. Dan Sheets from Clinton County and Blackford County, who are heavily engaged in projects right now. So we'll get a plan together based on successful programs around the state. So, but that's it, gentlemen. Thank you very much. If you'll take that
Thank you.
computer quote under consideration, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very good. Anybody else? There will be a time at the end of the meeting for you to comment also another time, so if you want to wait, you can wait. If you want to go or and have to do your thing right now, it's up to you. So we're going to move on, if no one else. New issue, Vermillion County 2023 certificate sales calendar approval. Anybody? Who's coming up?
You guys all got a copy of this, right? So do you have any questions? It's the same thing we've done for several years.
I don't have any questions.
I don't.
You want
I
to
think you just need to approve it and then sign it.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us what it is a little bit so people here know what it is.
So we had a tax sale in September, and there were 35 properties that did not sell at that tax sale. So they go on a certificate sale, which is 120 days instead of a year redemption. It will start if you got, the one thing you do have to approve if we start them at $150 again. Because it's up to you guys where we start them at on the sale. And that's how it's been set for several years. So if you are successful, and it'll start at $150, but it's an auction. And then if you're a successful bidder, then you have 120 days. You'll be given a packet on what needs to be done to acquire that property. And if you have any questions, you can come and talk to me later. I'll explain it all to you in detail. That's basically.
There was a
we've
law
done
that
it for
changed, right, on buying a tax sale, that if you buy it for someone else who currently is in delinquent in their taxes, that there's a crime, that can be charged as a crime?
That isn't a new law.
Okay.
That's been, we just stopped somebody from doing that.
That's what I'm trying to...
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Can you explain that to the public?
So if you are delinquent on your taxes, so we have a situation in the county that several properties that is owned by a certain person, and it's in, I really don't want to, they're in LLCs is what they are. But if you are owner of those LLCs, you can't send somebody else here to buy under another LLC and turn it back over to you just to get out of paying thousands of dollars of taxes. So that was stopped this past tax sale. But if you don't know the people, it's hard to catch that sometimes. But if it is caught, it is a crime, and it will go to the prosecutor, and you will be prosecuted if you do something like that. So.
Last year, I think I asked, does our minimum fee cover our costs, the $150?
Yes, we don't incur any cost because it's all paid through the tax sale, but yes, it does.
Well, we have advertisement costs, we have your costs.
Yes, so that's figured into this $150. Yes, that covers that. And then whatever is above that, it goes towards the tax. So if I went to the sale and bid for under what taxes are, I'm only going to pay like the $300 I bid. That if I'm successful, the rest of those taxes get wiped off, but it goes back on the tax roll for the following year. But yes, it covers our advertising cost and SRI's fees.
And your processing, I mean, the
Yes.
treasurer's costs of having to
Yeah,
sit here and do
there's
all
never
these
a
things.
cost to the county on tax sale, either one.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We have to make a motion, do we not, to approve the SRI?
Is it that our resolution? What's the resolution number?
It is a resolution?
You get one of those, we could, you don't have it.
I thought it was a
right here.
contract that we had to approve with SRI and the tax sale, not a resolution.
I got a resolution here establishing the intent.
Do you want both of these?
Okay.
Did you have a copy of it?
I've got one here.
There's a
yeah.
resolution here for that.
Okay, Brenda, she got one here.
I don't have the number.
19? Okay. Stephanie, so you just need the resolution approved or the contract and the resolution?
Contract.
Okay.
You have a copy of both?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the Vermillion County tax sale for 2024 with SRI.
Second the motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 And then, secondly, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-19 by title, a resolution establishing the intent to conduct a commissioner sale to sell tax sale certificate for property that is severely delinquent in payment of property taxes.
Second the motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
County insurance renewal, George Smith. He'll come up.
George Smith, MJS Insurance, here to discuss county insurance renewal. Sent you all the renewal proposals we had, answer any questions along the way and things like that. Just kind of some hot points I want to talk about a little bit. On the Astor renewal, which is the county property, the courthouse, the vehicles, and the marine schedule, basically, and the liability insurance. We write that through Astor Insurance. We had an increase this year. I wanted to clarify the increase. Renewal last year was at $167,646. This year, the policy came in at $214,902. Sounds like a large increase. Keep in mind, we just had a jail renovation. And last year, the county was paying me right at $54,000 a year for builder's risk insurance on the jail. That's complete. So the value of the properties for the county, we've increased $22 million. Okay? So,
But we're no longer paying the builder's risk.
no, the
Okay.
builder's risk
It's-
we got off last year around April.
And it's replaced by this
Yes,
standard policy.
that is correct. That is correct. So that's an expense that we got out of as quick as we could for you guys. Some of the other things that we had, the inland marine. Inland marine is everything from, really the highway department's gonna be your heavy inland marine policy. That's gonna be road graders, unlicensed vehicles, backhoes, items like that. The schedule increased 562,000 over last year. And then the other item was the number of autos increased by 5. Now that may fluctuate because every year you've got vehicles, then we get rid of some vehicles, so that gets adjusted as we go.
Do we know what departments that went to, the 5?
The 5 vehicles,
Yeah, the addition.
I do not know off the top of my head.
The sheriff. 3 were the sheriff. And
They weren't, but those replaced 3 though, didn't? Those are 3 additional ones?
Mark O'Hare, one vehicle, and then his old truck went to the highway.
That was.
Would've been, yeah.
But that replaced one, but is it still licensed?
Colby got a truck.
So that's Colby's contract.
Colby? Is that the one that was ordered for Garage
No.
2?
That one never was ordered. That was
Okay.
never ordered.
What happened to when it was ordered for Garage 2?
I
No?
don't think that was ordered.
Okay.
I know that we completely know where it was ordered.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, and the last main thing is for law enforcement liability. You did have an increase in law enforcement liability. which kind of makes sense. Something easy was we increased officers by 1, but we increased jail capacity by 73. So that's an exposure there, but once again, we weren't housing as many inmates last year, or, during the renovation. So like I said, I came up, those are the main differences on the main package policy. Any questions or concerns on that?
We increased 73 capacity on the jail, but we didn't actually increase 73 additional inmates.
It's just
Is it-
each year I have to take an average of inmates. I have a document I have to complete that shows what the housing capacity is, how many are currently housed, things like that. And over last renewal, it's increased by 73 because last renewal, this time of year last year, the capacity wasn't there.
Okay. So we need a motion to, is there any more?
That's it on the Astra policy.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. On the cyber insurance, it came in as a flat renewal. Cyber insurance, that's your piracy, hacking of sensitive information, things like that. It came in right at a flat renewal again. And get that one. The cyber policy came in at $28,100 this year.
What did you say it was last year?
Last year it was $27,900. So it came in pretty much flat. For cyber this year, that's still a big hot point in the insurance industry. To get a renewal like that, I was pretty pleased with. And then any questions on the cyber portion of it, gang? Okay. Last thing I wanted to discuss was the workers' comp insurance. Workers' comp insurance, of course, is payroll driven, and also your experience rating. Experience rating is the number of claims. This year the renewal came in at 56,999. It's up right about 12,000 over last year. That's not all due to the payroll increase. Loss ratio last year, the loss ratio is for every dollar of premium you pay, anything over that will give you a positive, or in our eyes a negative loss ratio. Anything below will drop it down. Last year your loss ratio was at 298%. So what 298% means is for every dollar in premium you spent, the insurance company spent $2.98. In the scheme of things, I mean, the loss ratio's bad, but it just doesn't take very many injuries and/or accidents to come up with that kind of money very quick. There are some things that I would like to do, and I can get with everybody privately, however we need to do that. But IPEP offers a lot of free training, and so does all of my companies. They offer free training and things like that on handbooks and/or workplace safety, and a lot of free training that always keeps you looking good in the insurance company's eyes. And I would like to make sure that we can implement that, and everybody's always been good to work. Anytime I've needed a risk analysis, all the departments have been great to work with and let us come out and do what we do. So I'd just like to continue that just to keep us, in the favor.
So if you say roughly 300%, so it's about 1.23 million, roughly. Just running numbers in my head. So, okay.
Looks to me like last year was at 144,807.
Okay. Too many decimals in it. In my head. Okay.
That's all I had on that. Any questions, concerns on that?
Do they have advice as to, other than training and risk analysis, of what other avenues we can take to reduce our workman's comp claims, or to prevent losses, I guess?
Of course, any type of safety training's probably first and foremost. You know, they have everything from, you know, working underground, working on ladders. They do have OSHA approved courses that are free to the county that they would train on. The other thing is that and I'll drop this packet off that has the work comp claim forms and things like that. The big thing is when there's a work comp claim or proposed work comp claim, make sure that claim is completed by a supervisor. I know we've got some situations where we don't have an immediate supervisor, but the work comp claim should never be completed by the individual himself. It should be completed by a supervisor or somebody in a supervisory act.
Do we have any particular departments that we need to concentrate on, or offices for that matter, whichever?
It was, to be honest, it was all over the board. It was kind of all over the board, just, you know, a few freak injuries and accidents and things like that. So it wasn't, you know, I can't say, you know, the highway department or the sheriff's department, or, you know, it was kind of all over the board.
With I've been more concentrated on one of those two than elsewhere.
You expect it to be concentrated on I see more of them on the highway department usually.
Sure.
Just because they're working with larger equipment. Yeah. But that wasn't the case this year.
Good.
So it's appropriate for us to approve unless there's more questions, make them.
Well, back up on workman's comp.
Yes.
You said it was 250% increase? Is that what you said?
No, it wasn't. The increase was not. That's your loss ratio, 298%.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I was just trying to figure out on the premium, the change of the premium. You say it went up how much?
Right at 12,000.
Okay. I was trying to do some math the other way, and that's not the right ratio I had, so, okay. Okay. You guys done? You got any questions?
Seems like it probably ought to gone up more than that, actually.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Do you make separate motions for each one of them, or just one motion of all three?
What's appropriate? One motion will cover all these if we are in agreement, or, well, I guess ask the commissioners,
John?
do you have a
What's up?
problem?
One motion to cover all of them's okay, or do we?
That's fine with me.
Yes.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the the various insurance policies, one for liability, property values, liability, cyber insurance, and workman's comp, and I guess the Astra policy covers everything on the other side of that. So I make a motion to approve these different policies.
Second the motion.
Discussion? I think George does a good job. Anytime we need anything, he's always there. and
Yeah.
I
Appreciate his
do
service.
appreciate it, yes. Every time I call, you're jolly on the spot, and you get the answers in a very timely manner. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Call for a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. Thank you, George.
Thank you. Brenda, is it okay for me to leave the documents in there that need signed? I've got to sort them out. So, okay, all right, thank you. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yep. Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas. Thank you.
Next is request for a change of zoning classification, Penny Carpenter, Clayton, Tammy, Sequinity.
Hi, Penny Carpenter, Vermilion County Area Plan. Clayton petitioned area plan in November for a change of zoning on a parcel in Blandford. Back in the day, it used to be a dance hall, I'm told, but I couldn't find anything on that, so that was prior to our records. But all the adjacent property owners have been notified, and it was advertised in the Clintonian. And during our December meeting, we did, ARPC did pass it with a favorable recommendation with a couple of stipulations on it. One was, because it's a change in zoning from S1 suburban residential to B2 general business, that if the auction house ceased to exist, it would revert back to S1 suburban residential. The second was, because it is a residential area, and we did have a neighbor come and voice some concerns about traffic, that they would not hold more than 2 auctions per week, and place a 6-foot tall privacy fence along the north edge of the property, which it would protect the actual adjacent property owner from seeing what's going on or vice versa. So that was the recommendation from Area Plan. It was a favorable recommendation. And this is Clayton Sanguinetti. He is actually the property owner. So if you have any questions.
How big is that parcel?
2 lots, 3 lots,
Okay.
12, 13, and 14.
Did it have approved septic on it, or is that something you're going to do?
It does have a septic. I don't know if it's approved or not, but it does have a septic tank, a concrete tank. It's probably far more better than most in Blanford.
But you have enough room for a septic system filled?
Say what?
There's enough room for a septic field in case they...
If they had to replace it, there
Okay.
is enough room, yes.
What type of occupancy is this supposed to have?
Excuse me?
What type of occupancy are you proposing?
It's just gonna be an auction house, typically one night a week, up to 2 nights a week. They're planning 1 night a week, so.
Resale auction house.
Just a resale auction house. They actually have a business in Paris currently, and they're just wanting to expand over to Indiana.
We're talking about 2 people, 100 people?
Oh, it's not gonna be, what, 40, 50 people, something like that? Yeah.
We're hoping for at least
Hoping for that. It's a 5,000 square foot building. It was zoned, from what I've read, at one point in time, it was zoned for business. It was changed when Eric bought it, he had it changed back to residential. So, yeah, they used to have a lot of receptions and all that stuff.
Does this meet the parking requirements for the type of facility?
That
it
entire
is?
front lot has a solid base under it, so there's room so they could pull in from 2 directions and park between this building and Main Street.
How many parking spots are they have to have for this type of facility?
There's probably enough out there for, I would say, easily 30 vehicles plus.
The question is more is what is the zoning required for this to have? How many parking spots do they have to have?
I'd have to look into that. I don't have that right in front of me. We did look at the size of the lot that's open, and it does have grass on it currently, but it is a solid base under it.
So parking for business or commercial is allowed on grass, on the yard, I guess, or whatever you want to call
Actually-
it?
It's only grass because it's not been
kept
used.
up.
Yeah.
It actually has brick. It's like pretty much ground brick base. You can drive through there any time of the year and not sink. It's got a solid base to it. Because it was a parking lot at one time for the dance hall.
Is the building conform to building code now it's being changed in?
That would be up to the new owners to get that set with the state, get the state's approval on that.
Okay. But you'll issue building permits here if there's,
I don't believe they're planning on increasing the footprint by any means, so they would
there's a-
just have to get their occupancy changed at the state and get their blessing.
in, our department doesn't change with any type of occupancy? We don't issue anything from the county then?
No.
What about setbacks? Does it meet all the setback requirements
Probably.
for the zoning, for that
Yes.
type of zoning?
Okay.
Why is there a fence only on the north side as opposed to the other side as well?
There's
I
a
think it'd be the-
pool on the north side, property owners has a pool there. The south side, there's a road, and the west side is just a fence row into a farm field, and then the neighbor behind them wouldn't see anything because it's the back, the building stretches pretty much along the 3 lots.
Yeah.
So the neighbor to the back won't be seeing headlights or cars or anything as far as that goes.
What about hours of operation? Is there
We
any
did, we just said,
restrictions?
our recommendation was just not more than 2 auctions per week.
So they can happen at any hour of the day then, I take it then?
That's correct.
That was acceptable to neighbors too?
We had one set of neighbors that come to the meeting and voiced their concerns, and their concerns was about the amount of auctions and the privacy fence.
Were they satisfied with
Mhm.
the answers that
Yes.
were given?
And I would assume the auctions are gonna take place from like 10 PM to 3 AM or something like that. I assume it would be,
5 to like 10 or 11 at night.
That's what you-
On Saturday night.
okay.
We only plan on having one auction on a Saturday night.
But we want the option
Yeah, I
to
understand,
do
yeah.
one like in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Where else in the county have we, in residential areas, allowed this type of zoning? Do we have, is this something that happens throughout the county?
It
or-
happens occasionally, go to a B2 general business. I'd have to go back and look at the book to tell you, because off the top of my head, I can't tell you. This is the first, we did one for Sean Evanetti not too long ago.
I
Put
feel
up
like
a billboard.
I feel like
and-
I've seen some for maybe like hair salons before in residential areas, maybe like a few
But
years
I'd have to
ago.
go check
Yeah,
the
I feel
actual
like there's
book.
been a few that's done that over the
Mhm.
years.
And a question for you, John. With the
I mean, I'm
change-
looking at it on GIS. It sits on the edge of town, and it does have you can see there's a huge front yard to it.
Yeah, that's not my question now. The question has to do with this being changed to B2. The restriction of auction house can be fairly broad. Like it could be livestock for that matter. Doesn't appear to be any type of auction that's necessarily shown here. Is there? It seems like this is kind of open to any type of auction that they want to do. Plus, it could increase from, or be different anyway than what is currently being proposed. Is that a legitimate concern or not?
I mean, that's up to you guys. If you think it's a concern that who's going to auction livestock.
Well, I don't know. That was just a.
Yeah.
No, it's just general merchandise.
I mean, you can.
And you could add that in there as part of your,
That was, yeah. Seems to be. It seems to be rather open, even though it's limited to auction, maybe.
But you guys can add more restrictions if you feel the need to.
Okay.
We need to move on this. So, any final questions?
I don't. I have no issue approving it today. Penny, I would just on this here. I'll strike out Ronald and put RJ on there for the thing. But other than that, I would like to maybe put a restriction on the animals and livestock. Because I understand some neighbors didn't issue any concerns, but that would be a concern of mine if I was down there. Even though they, I hear you guys saying you're going to do general merchandise, but to the protection of that residential area, I think that would be a good stipulation to add to that.
sure.
No chickens or birds like that?
Well, I mean, you laugh at chickens.
No, but that's
those,
true.
Those type of things
No.
are
You're right.
actually do come about.
Yep.
So
Anything you want to add to that, Brett, to that list or anything?
I don't know if we should just limit to things or limit it to
just general merchandise. We can do that. We can just limit it to
I
general
think
merchandise.
that's maybe a better
Sure, we can do that.
approach to it.
Yeah.
Of course, you always have that chance to address something if something changes,
Yeah.
so.
So you just need it approved as the petition number then? I'll make a motion to approve the petition to amend zoning ordinance request for change in zoning, petition number 23-03, with the amendment that it is limited to general merchandise only.
Very good. Thank you.
That's just a motion. Anyway, I'll second the motion.
I think we've had good discussion.
Yeah, well, I have probably one more question.
Okay, that's fine.
No, I guess I don't. That's fine.
Okay.
We can go
Call
ahead
for a
and
vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you for coming over to Indiana to do your auction house as well.
Hoping to bring revenue.
After the fact question, were all the neighbors aware this was happening pretty much? Do we know
Yes, they were all
that?
notified by certified mail.
Yeah, certified mail is one thing, but were they really aware? you may
Yes,
think.
I believe, they were notified by certified mail, and we ran Adam Clintonian, and I know Clay talked to some of them.
You talk to the neighbors.
We did also. So when I bought that place, it was stacked to the road with junk.
It was bad.
And I'm trying to clean up the town. I've hauled, I think off the yard alone, I hauled about 20 dump truck loads and 6 dumpsters, so.
When are you gonna finish the town up?
I actually bought another house, that I'm working on currently right now, so this is make number 4 in Blanford, so.
We appreciate that.
One of the things that I,
Clean it up and.
as
make a little
commissioner,
money return, but sometimes it's hard to make money on it.
one of the things I think, as far as what, that kind of bothers me, not with your situation, but things in general, there's policies that are set to make what proper notification is. That's right, John Spur, is that correct?
Yes.
And I think we as a county ought to look a little farther than that, not in your situation, that's already done in the past, but I think that sending certified mail is acceptable, correct?
That's the general process, yes.
Okay. And if that mail is not accepted, is it still considered they've been notified?
I don't know.
Because in a situation, I think it'd be better government if we make sure those people are notified, you know, in a situation. That's where I kind of lean toward better government, and to send something out and since it wasn't returned, to act like that's acceptable. I don't think that's acceptable from my standpoint. You know what I'm saying? I think that if we did it, we did our approvals to make sure that each person got notified and we're all sure of that. I think it's better government. I think it's more clarity, and that's something that in the future I think that we ought to look at.
Yeah, well, I think if it is the rule of law that you send certified mail, and regardless if they accept it, you know, if maybe my mailing address has changed and I haven't updated it, you know, I think that is a good thing to make sure people are notified one way or the other.
One thing we had to do in permitting before, I don't know what the county's requirement is, but we had to have return receipt, certified mail with return receipt.
Yeah, that could be an easy.
That gets expensive because it's a lot more postage on that. Is that something that's required, Penny?
That's what they send it out, certified, they get a receipt back.
Okay.
We send out certified letters with the signed
Return
postcard
receipt.
that they get back.
Okay.
It's about $8.50 now a letter to
Yeah,
do
it's
that.
expensive, or
Yeah.
gets expensive.
But,
But-
they have 15 days to claim it or refuse it. And typically, on this type of thing, it doesn't get.
I'm talking about, we're just talking about general procedure. I'm
Right.
not talking about here where we proved it, that's done. But I'm saying that I think it'd be better government if we made sure that those people involved were communicated with on any of these situations like that. And there's no reason why we can't do better than what the others do. That's just my recommendation. I think it makes sense when you really think about it.
Yeah.
What if you were gone and something got lost in the mail, and all of a sudden something, they sent it to you and you didn't get it and you didn't receive it, something happened, then I would feel very wrong.
And those would be returned to the sender if they aren't picked up, they are returned back to the sender.
Okay. But you understand what I'm trying to say?
Sure.
I wouldn't want something imposed on my property and I was gone or moved away or something happened or something.
And Clayton, I heard you say you've bought several properties and cleaned them up. We are having a commissioner sale in March, and there's several on that list that could use cleaned up.
I
So
bought a few on commissioner sale, but they always seem to buy them back.
yeah, that happens. That happens occasionally. But if you're into it, I mean, there's several in KU that I know.
Not on commissioner sale.
Certificate sale.
Yeah.
The commissioner
On the
sale's
commissioner
different.
sale, that's
It's
final
absolute.
when it's
Yeah,
sold.
yeah, certificate sales what's coming up, isn't it? Is that what they said?
Well, it's commissioner
It's
sale.
commissioner
I think they.
Commissioner sale's still 60
Yeah, I
days.
think they still have 60 days to redeem, but they have to pay the back taxes. Like you get it for 150, but they've got to.
They pay you a percentage back too.
Yeah.
For so many days, it's a certain percentage.
And interest,
Yeah.
Okay, my apologies. Yeah.
But anyway, if you're interested, I think there's like 30 some properties. So.
We're going to move on. Thank you all for addressing the situation. Wish you success in your future endeavor. Illinois contract extension approval.
Liliana. Make a motion that we approve the amendment to the Liliana contract for ambulance service for, it extends to July, I don't see it in here. Extends. Okay, I got there. Extends from July, up to January 1st anyway, or the end of December, up to July 1st, or June 30th, I guess, midnight. It can be modified to go monthly thereafter, and it'll allow us time to complete the transitional period as to whether we actually are going to have a county-wide ambulance service or whether we are going to go to a partial contractual obligation. That is not complete at this point. The previous thing that we had fell through with Union Hospital, and so they're not, anyway, that one's not on the table anymore at this point in time. So the motion is to extend the contract with Ileana as per the contract agreement here, as signed by Ileana.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. I want to say thanks to Britton for all his work. He's done a lot of work on this, and I appreciate his time he's put in this. We'll call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. New ambulance facility. We are currently working on an ambulance facility up on 63 south of Perrysville, east side of the road. This has been in process for over a year. We have 5 members of the ambulance committee, a few that are here today, that have worked hard on this situation. We have the property that we need donated. We currently have the engineering design all done on it, and so we have another meeting Wednesday night, right? Is that correct, Mark?
As far as I know, Neil has locked it down. That's what he's talking.
Wednesday night
Wednesday night,
at Dana, right? Firehouse. One of the things about this that we as a county, if you are of any department and you have a dream of something you want to do in the future, we encourage you to try to get something done and have it on file. The problem we have with grants is grants become available, and many times you get it, and the grants in 30 or 60 or 90 days, you have to have your project going into that grant procedure, and anything of substantial size takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of design, it takes a lot of this done. So what we did, we got ahead of the procedure, ahead of the bidding process, and we've got this design, we have the paperwork done, and the ambulance committee is going to meet this Wednesday night to go over it again, to do whatever they need to do, they think, to make it a better place. And that also brings in line that usually we don't have things available for when the funding comes available. And that's why I said if you have anything, a project in a county you want done, there's nothing wrong with having it designed and having it set there on the shelf, a ready project, ready to go for funding. So what we've done, we've watched the Ready Grant, and I we'll be getting on the Ready Grant situation in a little bit, but this next year, Ready Grant money will become available, and that's what we're looking at. So if we can get the funding, I think the funding on the Ready Grant on this situation is probably 50-50. Is that correct, Britton? So we're going to say 50% of the cost of the ambulance facility. I do appreciate the board, the ambulance committee people, men and everyone involved, because having boards and put people together, let people in the community of the professional services come together on that board to make decisions that they know is right based on their experience is very important. So this decision on this design, it was put together by 5 board members here locally that are very knowledgeable in fire and safety and emergency management. So I appreciate them for putting that together. So anybody have any questions on that? And we'll move on to some other things. We'll talk about this later in the meeting. You guys got any comment on that right now? Okay. Groundwater withdrawal. You all want to say something before I say something on this? Give you all a chance to say something if you want to.
The alarm been sound for this for a couple of years now, so the time is here for some type of action on the county's level, since the state has not taken anything except for monitoring large withdrawals through DNR.
And this is in regards to the Lebanon project?
Yeah.
With the Wabash River?
Yeah.
For some of you that don't know, the Indiana Economic Development's kind of picking areas to do large projects, and there's not enough water in Lebanon, so they're talking about pumping, I don't know how many millions of gallons of water out of the Wabash. You know, yeah, I don't know how much, it's several millions. And even here in Vermilion County, you know, out at the Vermilion Rise, we have a steady supply. The project would have probably been better suited to, you know, sit somewhere in our county, but on the flip side of this, you know, several counties along the Wabash, whether it's Vigo, Tippecanoe County, are pushing a lot of opposition, whether it's ordinances or resolutions, and I'd like to see, you know, this county do something to that effect to let the state know that, you know, we're against them doing this. So that's all I have, Tim.
I would like to have more information, discussion at next meeting, if we all could look into it a little farther. I as myself, for the last 35 years, I managed water companies, Fayette Township, Hillsdale, sometimes Newport, Clinton City, and that's been my level of expertise is water. I just want to do some more research on it next time, so I'm in favor of doing something, but I think we need to have the research also here to show what effects. I do want to say something for the state. That was a change. They had that regulation under EDC on that water, and they took it away from them and put it to a different entity that will oversee that, which I think is good, because EDC was doing the funding. Obviously, having a department doing the funding, also overseeing it, and I think it was a good move by the state to take that away from the EDC. So I put it on the agenda for next meeting. I think we all need to come back with some information and some type of recommendation.
Yeah.
And,
I agree. I think just at the minimum, you know, we want to make sure the Wabash River is protected, and, you know, if those studies are to come out and say everything will be okay, then that's one thing. But I think a lot of our citizens, and I know Eric Scheidler shared some good articles and stuff with us to read, and I think there's a lot of concern in the communities, not only here, but even in the water communities, the soil and water. So yeah, I definitely can bring some information back. I'm sure all of us will.
can we put that on the agenda for the next meeting? Open issues. Septic ordinance approval, Dr. Paula Market, she's here today.
Hello, Paula Market with Vermilion County Health Department, and we're here for hopefully get signatures on our new septic ordinance. It has been advertised twice in the paper and on the county website, and so far when we've been here there haven't been any concerns here in the Commissioners Court, so appreciate if we could get signatures today.
Has there been any comments?
Sent to the state.
Have you received any comments from the public or otherwise?
No comments at all.
Okay.
So what all was the changes? The changes were minimal, right? That from our old set of ordinance on septic, it was just a change on the sampling space. Instead of requiring 3, we want to require 1 now. Is that what the?
Still requiring what?
Instead of just requiring 3 test
Well,
holes.
we require 1, but you can do as many as you would like to.
Okay.
And that'll be up to the person taking the soil sample.
Okay.
The other significant change is the need for 2 beds or 2
Yeah, the holding
areas.
tank. Holding tank was a
Holding
change too.
tanks are different.
You want to elaborate on that a little bit so people know what that is?
The holding tanks are required, say if you're gonna, if you're building a house and say you're living in your motor vehicle on the property, there has to be a holding tank there. You can't just leave it there for a year or so while you're building and go dump every so often. You have to have a holding tank on the property, and that holding tank can then be transferred to a septic tank, because it does require that it be the same minimum size as a septic tank. But you would have to go through the process again of getting the permit for a septic tank instead of a holding tank. So you have to get a permit for the holding tank, and once you're done using that, then you have to go back through the process of getting a permit for the septic tank, and then the rest of the septic, which ensues.
So if you want to build your little cabin out someplace, and you can, instead of having to put a septic system in, you can just put a holding tank since you're not gonna be there very much, and then have it pumped out, and that's acceptable.
I thought there was a
No,
time
holding
limit
tanks
on
are
holding
temporary.
tanks. Yeah,
Okay,
So they're not permanent.
okay,
So no, that would not be acceptable.
okay.
do you know what the time frame was on the holding tank? For how long you could have a holding tank before?
Well, as long as
Till
you're
it's full.
actively improving the property and showing that you're, you know, you're making progress, you can continue to have the holding tank. But if, you know, all things stop and you're just basically living there, then, that is not allowed. Then you have to, you know, transfer it to a septic tank, or, you know, you have to
That's-
either build on the property, or, what they're not wanting is for people to just, you know, set up, house in a motorhome on some property and never improve it.
When I build if I build a new house, I can put the septic tank in, hook it up, we could use it while we're there, without the spinner system in, if we ever had a plan to do it. Could that be temporary? I mean, it'd work.
Yeah, you can go ahead and put your septic in if you want.
Okay.
You don't have to put a holding tank in, but, you know.
Well, the septic tank and the holding tank, same thing, I mean,
They're
same.
the same exact tank, you know, minimum 1,000 gallons, and so if you put one or the other, like I say, you can transform and turn that holding tank into a septic tank once you put your system in.
Okay.
I think the other change, it has 2 chimneys or manholes to the tank now instead of just one.
They wanna have 2 sites, so that you have a backup site.
Yeah, 2 sites, but there also, I think you have to have 2 accesses to the holding, or to the septic tank itself, the inlet and outlet of it. I think it's different now.
There is required now?
I think that's part of this now,
Okay.
is that you have to have access to both ends of it, where it's
Yeah, you
only
have to
one
have an
side.
inlet and an outlet, but,
Okay.
I think they took out the part that it has to be sloped. The state has asked us, you know, they just threw away all of our ordinance and asked us to rebuild it based on their recommendations, trying to get symmetry across the state so everybody's more similar, and you don't have people with some, you know, wild rules in one part of the state. Of course, everybody has different soil across the state, so there are some things that are gonna have to be different.
Okay.
But, and then, you know, once we approve it here in our county, then the state actually has to approve it as well.
Okay.
That's different.
Yeah, I have this, paper here. It goes through a technical review panel, and then they come back and make suggestions if there's anything they don't like. That's why we've worked really closely with them on, rewriting it, so that hopefully we don't have to make any changes once we send it in.
And that's on residential and commercial, both. Okay.
Okay.
Make a motion that we, do we have a number for this, by the way?
307.
Make a motion that we approve the Vermillion County by title, Vermillion County on-site sewage systems ordinance number 23-07.
Second the motion.
I appreciate the health department, what they do, and what they've done on this, and I have no further questions. Call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Update on the new 2024 holiday calendar.
The motion that we approve the 2024 holiday calendar.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Board appointments for 2024. Let me get my list here. The Alcohol Beverage Board, Mindy Bush. Our appointment for APC is Joe Ellis. E91 is tabled, a restructure ordinance from 1995. Hopefully that'll be done here in the next 30 to 60 days at the max. Health Board, we tabled check applicants' voting history, so that's going to be out for another next meeting. Innkeepers Tax Board, we got to check this into compliance on some issues, and we'll be dealing with that at within the next 2 meetings. Newport Chemical Reuse Authority, we're going to reappoint all those currently that are serving. I had a meeting with them and discussed what they wanted to do in their future. It was all very much concerned and wanted to continue their serving on that board. We have figured out a way to stagger the terms. And so what we end up doing, a lot of those are appointed pretty close together. So Tom Milligan's appointment will be up in 24, and Joe Ellis's will be up in 24. Lacey Roming will be 25, Jeff Mahalik in 25, Dave Mary in 26. And then the new appointments will be a 3-year term. Property Tax Board of Appeals, Ringwall and Patricia Ritchie. Redevelopment Commission, Ashley James, Warren Sutherland, and Michael Hamilton. Newport Library, we did talk to Robert Henry. He did say he wanted to stay on the board. Wabash River Corridor is Les Zimmerman, and RJ is going to be the alternative on that there. And Drainage Board, Kurt Hill, wasn't sure if he was, we're having some discussion on that, so that will come up at the next meeting. So that's where we got a comment on that, so we move on.
I don't. Do you want a motion to approve all these? I'll make a motion to approve all the appointments in front of us stated by Tim.
Second the motion.
Any other discussion on this? Like I said, some of these we're going to be addressing them and some other issues later, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next.
We have the Ready Grant appointment. That wasn't part of, are you going to cover that?
It's
now?
on the agenda.
Okay, go ahead.
That says grant and appointment. It's supposed to be. I'd like to have Bill Reynolds come up. We, over the years, the Ready Grant program has had 6 counties, if I'm not mistaken, 6 counties in the Ready program. And what has happened the last time is the remaining county did not have a seat on that Ready board. And I had talked with those on the Ready board and questioned that, and now they sent us a paperwork the other day, and I think it has to be done by the 20th, don't it?
I think that's correct.
The
Yep.
20th.
22.
To appoint someone to the Ready Grant board. So we have Bill Reynolds today. I worked with Bill on a lot of different things, and I'm recommending him to be that one who takes care of that grant. You want to go over what you know, what you have discussed on that?
Yeah, I looked up a little bit of stuff on this. I'm Bill Reynolds, and the Regional Development Authority is regional as named. I believe there's 5 counties. There's Vigo, Vermillion, Park, Clay, and Sullivan are in that. And as a regional development program, they can work together collectively and supplement each other so they're not stepping on each other's toes for economic opportunity, which is what their mission is. So a lot of things that go into providing economic opportunity are jobs, of course, trained workforce, housing, and early childhood care and development. So those are all things that go into it. So the ambulance facility was mentioned as a candidate for Ready Grant. And another one I throw in there is the Ernie Pyle School. Consideration of that as a daycare center. And Britton mentioned one-to-one match probably on the ambulance center. And the matches vary depending upon the source and the nature of the grant. If there's government involvement, it's usually a 1-to-1, 50% match. And if you get into private industry, such as if Elanco would say want to take ownership of Ernie Pyle and do that conversion, then the match is a little bit less. So it's
4-to-1,
more like a 25% match or something on perhaps even 20%. So you get a little more leverage out of the money that is invested in it. So it's a great opportunity, and economic development is one of the things that's been my passion. I served on the council last year as a fill-in, and kind of found out what the needs are and some of the mechanisms to achieve that. So I'm looking forward for the opportunity if my credentials are accepted by the Regional Development Authority, and if my appointment is confirmed. I'm excited and looking forward to it.
This year, we got 500 million, was that the state? Is that the number on that, 500 million, or what was the total of that?
I don't recall.
I think it was 500.
It kind of varies by year. 2024, I think there's some stuff out there, and I need to find out more about that. But the ready grants, Regional Development Authority is the source of the ready grants. So that's where the money comes from. So that's a direct plug and play on that. So, and my understanding is we've not had a board seat, although we've been a member. So we've been beneficiaries without any representation. So it's a new opportunity for us.
Okay. The like I said, I think the applicants are due on February the 20th. Not the applicants, but
There
for
is,
the project.
yeah, the grant requests are February date, I think, but I think the appointment, they're looking for December 2022. What's today, 21?
Right.
So we're getting there.
I think it comes effective January 1st, but they want the appointments
Right.
in place by the
They want that
27th.
confirmation, so, and you can do that by email contact, so.
Because I think last grant, there was only one thing applied for, possibly, I think it was City of Clinton for a splash park.
They did, and the match was a little bit too rich for them, I think, so I'm not sure that's gonna happen.
So that never did happen, did it?
I don't think so, or at least it's pending, so they've not gone forward because the match was gonna be pretty significant input for the city to match that. You mentioned, basically, we've heard the term shovel ready. When I was at the Newport Chemical Depot in engineering, we had projects that were basically in file folders, ready for some money funding opportunity. And we had scope of work, engineering estimate, drawings, it was ready to go. So we knew what our needs were. It's just a matter of waiting until a funding opportunity came up. We'd go through and find what we had that would fit within that funding range. So that's a good way to go.
And I think that's important to us, we as a county, even if we look forward and have a plan set up and invest money in projects we want to do, even though the funding's not there, and have it sitting on a shelf like you're talking about for funding, we would be well ahead in planning. I think it's a great thing we need to be doing more of. So
Motion to, or by agreement, I'd like to appoint Bill Reynolds to the RDA, or EDI process with, what is it called? RDA? I guess the RDA.
Yeah, Regional Development Authority.
Right. For the ready.
For the ready grants.
For the REDI.
That's another acronym, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure what all that is, but it's
Rural Development Association.
Economic Development
Administration.
something or other.
Yeah. Anyway, by agreement, I'd like
Yeah,
to
that's fine.
make the motion.
discussion, I would like
appointment.
can you tell us your past and what you've done and where it clarifies your credentials or somewhat of what you do?
Well, I'm a retired chemistry teacher and physics teacher. That's what I tell people, it's just easier. But I did work for a construction company in the coal industry for about 12 years, so project management was one of the things I was involved with extensively on that. 23 years at the Newport Chemical Depot before it became the Reuse Authority. Started out in engineering and wound up in several different management positions by the time it was over. So again, project management and development of projects is one of the things I was heavily involved in, as well as managing business operations at different phases. So again, retired teacher is just easier to say.
You have your master's, don't you?
I do have an MBA, yeah. So
And that is in?
Pardon?
MBA in?
It's a Master's in Business Administration. So I tell people I have a finance background, so we get a lot of finance and accounting involved in training on that, and I've utilized a lot of it in business practices.
Also, you do a lot of substitute teaching, right?
I do, going in tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Yeah. I retired, I just never quit.
Okay. Call for a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
If you got any more
Yeah, that's-
discussion? Do you have something else to say, Brett?
No, I just,
Okay, I thought it.
I just
passed.
said we'll do it by agreement, but vote's fine.
Call vote. Call
Same
for a
thing,
vote.
same
All in
result.
favor?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Bill.
KWR-HCC appointment resolution.
Do we have to approve a resolution for that?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's 2023-22?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve is it by title? Does it have a title or anything on those? By title, Resolution confirming the participation of Vermilion County in the Wabash River Heritage Corridor Commission. Resolution number 2023-22.
Sorry about that.
Second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? DNR water site up north, I think that's something that RJ's taking care of, so you want to comment on that?
Things are moving forward. Want to thank surveyor Roger Meyer and then Ron Mack for helping coordinate him to get a survey done up there. DNR is moving forward with that. I emailed both of you guys. They're looking for naming recommendations. They did say you couldn't name it after somebody, and I think there's been some discussion between Britton and George Sanquinetti about maybe some heritage names possibly being named. So that's where we're at with DNR. They're just awaiting that to submit to their team, but I don't have any other updates besides that. So if you guys want to get together an email and we can submit multiple names if we want, or just one, it's up to you guys.
I think it's a good project.
Timeline on that? Any sort of
They said when it was all said and done, I's dotted, T's crossed, it would be within 2 years, but they were waiting on the survey and stuff from that.
I meant naming.
Oh, they didn't say it, they just said they wanted it sooner than later, and that was when I sent that email. So I can reach back out to Luke and ask him if there's a deadline, which may be better for us, so we can just pinpoint a day. But I think doing some history, maybe naming, would be really cool, so that's where we're at there.
I think it's a nice project. Vermilion County Bicentennial, what is the exact date on that, Brett?
February 1st, 2024.
February?
That's the date that the county officially became a county.
February the 1st?
February 1st, 2024.
Okay.
Or 2024. 1824. Sorry about that.
So
Yeah, we
200 years,
we're
right?
just getting
Am
there.
I adding this up right, or 200 years?
200 years.
200 years. We're looking at trying to do something for the bicentennial of our county. I think it's a commendable thing to do. We do have some changes in our county, I think, that might be able to affect that. The state of Indiana was looking for someone to be the new county historian. I met with Steve Axtell and Mr. Henry. There was some questions about the local jail, the old jail, and I recommend you all go by and visit it and see it and do your homework. And if you have any time, you can donate to that project there. It would be appreciated. And I met with Mr. Axtell, and like any other group, it's hard to get new people involved. And anytime you have a project, I see as these organizations, as time goes on, the people are getting older and the younger people are not being replaced. So anytime you can volunteer to help the old jail, anything they got going on, I think it would be appreciated. But when I was talking with them, Steve Axtell gave me a copy of a paper from the State of Indiana Historical Society, and they need someone appointed by December, what the date was on that? That was earlier, wasn't it? What the date?
December 10th.
By December 10th. And I've got it, I think, a week before that. So I called them back and asked them, I said, is there anyone in your organizations that wants to continue to be an historian? They said no. And George Sanquinetti is a great asset to the county. When you have someone serving a position has a passion for what they do, I think it's very important, because all the rest of it takes, it comes together. And George I worked with him on several different historical projects, the Burlett's Trading Post, historical marketing. He did a lot of research on that. In fact, he published a book on local history from that, and I think it's commendable. He has a passion for history. He serves with the George Rogers Clark National Park, a volunteer on several different projects around. Anytime there's a historical project, George is there, and he's been a true friend of mine. He's been a great help, and I'm very happy to have someone serve in that position that has a passion for what they do. With that being said, I think that the celebration could take on some more, possibly, energy. I have some different projects, local history projects that I've completed, and different projects that went on in our county. And I think maybe with that day, maybe we have a historical day, maybe with some of them presentations of those on that day. So I think that with George being the new historian, maybe he could help us a little bit and put a little more wings under this this thing. It's not over with yet, as far as saying we're not gonna do this. We're gonna do something. We just don't know how the scope it is.
I'll be announcing the scope
Okay. Okay.
next
Good.
meeting.
And I appreciate.
Broad and long.
Yeah. Also, I appreciate Brett and Luther, my fellow commissioner. It's amazing that George and Brett are good friends of mine, and both of them are very much into past history, and they can tell you a lot of stuff that I don't know and others don't know. So I appreciate their passion for what they do, and also the new county historian. Okay. The IT contact, we deleted that, right?
Yeah,
Maybe-
I'd hope that we were going to have possibly a director for this next year, but that's not going to happen. Haven't found a person that's willing and/or qualified to do that at this point. Going forward, though, into 2024, if there is someone interested in an IT director that has those credentials to be able to fill that type of position, we'd be interested in talking with you. But in lieu of that, we will continue. I'd like to continue with the EAS contract as our manager in providing our IT services. So I'll make a motion that we approve the EAS Management Services Agreement proposal, the 2024 one.
Second the motion.
Again, I appreciate Britton's work on the IT contract and what he's done, so. Call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Hopefully, I say it wrong every time, settlement for pure court, I'd like to see that done and move on. My recommendation.
Is there a funding amount we need to say for the motion, or?
The opioid doesn't cover their request. I think they had a request of 80,000 something, did they?
We get some every year.
Yeah.
That's not what they
We have
wanted.
some in there now, and what's coming in for, in 2024. should cover.
There was $18,000 or $20,000, I think, involved in it per year, wasn't it? Something in that range.
Something near that.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at the actual number, but their request was for like 80,000. So I don't know how that. I don't know if we need to be given that to Pure Court, because they don't have the other funding, as far as I know. They've not indicated they have funding elsewhere to be able to.
Well, what I'm saying is
perpetuate that.
our settlement funding would go toward that pure court.
The
Whether they
council
have the
was-
rest of the money is
The
not.
council was requesting that money to be used towards Pure Court for the budget, and then they were going to supplement the budget as well, if it wasn't enough to cover it.
We're not making an obligation to pay above and beyond. We're just saying the
Right.
amount that we have here. And
So-
a lot of people thought it was, you got this $100 and some thousand.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's 20,000 based over 10 years, or
So what does the motion need to be then, is the question? 'Cause I don't have any paperwork or anything in front of me, I don't.
that the available funding from
Opioid.
this would make available to pure court,
The council requested.
and the council would be responsible for anything above and beyond.
All right, well, I'll make a motion. If we want to piece all that together, we'll make a motion for the opioid settlement funding to go towards Pure Court. Is that, do we need to add anything else to that, or is that?
This available.
Well,
The council's the one that actually requested it to be used
Okay.
specifically for Pure Court, because that is something that is an eligible expense in the requirements from the state for the opioid settlement.
I'll amend my motion to what Brenda said.
And if it's not funded, then the money comes back.
right, yeah, I would amend that to say that it's subject to funding, that if it's not funded, that we withdraw
Yes.
that. And is that only for this year? Or you
No,
all
it-
the
It's for,
It's sort of, I don't know if it's 5 or, it's at least 5 years. But it's like, I think it was 100, I'm talking off, but I think it was like $180,000 or $190,000 total.
to be
It was like
paid out
17,
over a series of
18,000.
years, so, and it's a long period of time.
Yeah.
I will amend my most recent motion to include Mr. Luther's comments with that motion. That's too much to restate all that.
Is that acceptable?
That's all I mean, it's all recorded, it's on me.
Yeah, that's fine. Any other discussion on that? We're gonna.
There needs a second to it first.
Okay. Any second call?
Well, I'll second just to get us to move into discussion. So the motion and the way I hear it is that all the opioid settlements, not just the one, not just a payment for this year, we're assigning the next 5 or 10 years
Yes.
worth of these
When Pier
settlements
Court goes
to
away,
that.
they don't get it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm really in favor of assigning all of them. I can see it year by year, but not, the council's not gonna fund it except year by year. They can't do it except by year. So
I'm just saying for
anyway.
1 year. I mean,
Well, that's not the motion though, it's the whole settlement is going to that. It's not just as we get it each year that we approve it each year, because the Pier Court may not function as well as we would like, or future commissioners would like anyway. I know it's still subject to funding, but I would, anyway, that's my comment.
I have no issue using all the opioid funding for Pier Court. I understand what you're saying, Brett, you know, year to year, but I'll let my motion stand as is. But I have no problem funding that entirely, because I mean, I think that can change, you know, year to, I mean, like you said, year to year commissioner change, I
Yeah.
think those things
it could change.
can change.
And you did say that council recommended that to be done?
Ashley came to one of your meetings and asked for that.
Okay.
She did?
Yes, she did.
Yeah, it's been a little while ago,
It's
but.
been a minute.
So call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Yeah, I think
Aye.
it'll be annual. Opposed?
Motion
Aye.
passed.
That might have been the longest motion we've had in a while.
For sure,
Government
it is.
works.
It's a long one.
I just need a piece of paper or something.
We would have had a student from Norfolk, Maine today. We tried to alter on morning meetings. COVID in the past messed us up on some of that, but we would have had a Norfolk, Maine student here today, but they were having their finals and things going on, so next morning meeting we'll have a student from Norfolk, Maine. But public comment, let's go to public comment, and you all have public comment. Anyone else have public comment this morning? Mark O'Hare.
Mark O'Hare, Vermillion County EMA. This really isn't public comment, I just want to get it out there. I don't know if everybody's familiar, but on October 8th of next year, there's a total solar eclipse, which will affect this part of the country. Southern half of Vermillion County is in the total April 8th, okay. Southern part of Vermillion County is in the total blackout area, okay. It basically gets to about 36 coming north. The eclipse will last about 3 minutes of darkness, but it's about a 4-hour process. It'll start at about 1:49 and end at about 4:30. They're expecting, and they base this off of hotel reservations, an additional 600,000 people in the state of Indiana for this eclipse. They expect them to roll in over the course of 2 or 3 days, but they will all try to leave as soon as the eclipse is done. Okay. For our area, it would be people probably out of Chicago, Wisconsin, maybe some Michigan people coming up. So we're looking at 63 just being a total nightmare. Last eclipse was in Kentucky in 2017. The normal drive, which was like a 2-hour drive on a 64, ended up being like a 6 to 8 hour drive with people running out of gas everywhere. Nobody plans for this stuff. They're all a bunch of idiots. Well, not all of them. There's probably one
tourists.
smart one in there.
99.9%.
Bringing money into our county.
Okay, so from Vermillion County's point of view, we got to handle traffic. We have to handle refueling vehicles, which would be the gas stations, making sure they have full tanks. We have to deal with schools dismissing. You don't want school dismissing at 3:30 when, you know, that's the eclipse. No one's going to be able to get on the roads. Buses aren't going to be able to move. So I'm trying to get the word out now. Gas stations need to top off their tanks on Saturday, Sunday time frame. Make sure they've got. Local restaurants need to make sure they're prepared for the crowds who might say, hey, I'm done driving for a little while. I'm going to go into this McDonald's with my 90,000 people that are following me. It's just going to be a mess, and we're going to have to deal with it. Trying to get word out right now. There is a county ordinance for large groups. I don't know what the actual term for it is.
It's a large event ordinance.
Large event ordinance. That was real close. I used a couple of the words. But if somebody is planning these things, they have a large parking lot, they want to sell parking spaces for people to sit in the lot and watch this stuff, they need to make sure they meet all the county requirements. Just a little heads up too, meetings I've gone to, state police have said do not count on state police to come to Vermilion County unless it's on 74. They will manage the interstates. That's their purpose that day because of what they've seen in the past. So.
What was the area again of Indiana that you said?
I believe it's about 50 counties in Indiana. It crosses the entire state of Indiana. It starts on the western side and it goes out the northeastern side.
South of us, isn't it south of us?
The areas that they're planning on in Indiana that have the big groups is like the Bloomington area. I mean, we will have just as good a view as the people in Bloomington, but because they are really advertising this and selling space and things like that, people are going there. Plus, you know, it's just a different areas of the state are developed for these large groups.
Yeah.
You know, you got football games and stuff in the parking areas. One area that we need to look at is in Vigo County. They're looking at the mill selling their parking spaces that day, and the estimate is that they can pack 10,000 cars in there. 10,000 cars letting out on First Street at the end of this is a mess. And you know, say half of them are coming this way. That's a mess. Okay. So I've spoken to the sheriff. I've spoken to 911. I've talked to some of the fire chiefs. We have a meeting in January. Just trying to, you know, worst case. This is all worst case scenario. Reading the after action for Kentucky, they had planned on like 600,000 people in that 2017 one, and they got like 300,000 people. But they still had this nightmare. Okay, think of the 600,000 people that showed up. Reading some of the stuff their EMAs put out was, you know, we're planning for the worst and hope it doesn't happen. But if you don't plan for the worst and it does happen, now you're screwed. So getting the word out. One thing I'm pushing the state is to get the PIOs to start getting press releases on this stuff.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of information, more than I can feed you right now. And I don't know it all. I was talking to Britton the other day. Every meeting I go to, I learn something new that you don't think about. One, that was about 2 months ago, one of the DNR people brought up was Teslas. All these battery-powered cars. You know, they're good for a 4-hour drive. They're not good when they drove all the way down there, didn't charge the thing up, and now they're trying to drive home. And you can't run around with a cup of battery power, you know, charging them up. And I don't believe in Vermilion County we have any charging stations at all.
Yeah.
Beef House.
The Beef House does?
Beef House does,
Okay.
yeah.
Pilson's does too.
Who else does?
Pilson's.
Okay. But
That's
those
good
are
to
not
know.
like real public lots that people just can pull into.
No,
so.
no.
I didn't know if maybe at the rest stop on 74 they might have had something too, but again, it's not going to take care of all the problems. So these are just things we need to plan out. Giving you guys a heads up.
I've contacted Highway, make sure that they're topped off and have the capacity to be able to help with maybe the fueling service. And then I've also contacted FSL&I, who has our oil and gas services so for 2024, and give them the heads up that we will want to be filled up and also have reserve available to us going into the following week. So
Right, I spoke to Dakota, one of the fire chiefs, about this. Maybe fire trucks driving around with some 5-gallon cans to just get people down the road a little further. There is some issues with that. I think we're going to try and work out some of the bugs. They can't really sell gas to people. They can ask for donations. Another thing is the cars that break down, what do you do with them? You can't leave them on the side of the road because that might be the lanes that our fire trucks and ambulances are trying to use. So what I'm looking at is like 3 places in the county, north, central, and south, where the tow trucks will just take cars there and put them in a lot. You know, maybe the parking lot outside the north gate at the Rise would be one in the middle of the county where they can just leave the cars and no one's going to mess with them until the traffic has gone through.
do you need a committee assigned to help you with all these things, or you got enough of the structure here already to be able to
I
make
think the
this?
structure's in place, you know, it's the responders who have to figure this out. The state is just now coming out with their plans. They promised them to us like 2 months ago. They're just starting to get them sent out, and mainly they're just templates. They're, you know, I don't want to write a communications plan that doesn't agree with the state's communications plan, so we need to, everybody's got to be together. As a district, all of the EMAs got together about 2 weeks ago. We kind of got our plan together. You know, we have to feed the information into it still, but everybody's got their assignments. The idea with that being, we got a big wreck on 63. My first call is to Vigo County and tell them to quit sending people up 63. Turn them off onto 41 or send them 70 west.
It also happened the other way too. Send them
Right.
up 63 when there's a wreck someplace else.
Right. But it's a way of us communicating with the other counties around to make sure what's going on. I joked with Park County, you know, if they have a block on 41, try to send people over 163 across the bridge. We need to block the bridge as fast as possible so that we don't get those people. This is all a joke, you know. But that's the situation, you know. When people stop moving, they're going to find other ways.
What was the date again on
April 8th.
April the 8th?
Yeah, and 3 o'clock in the afternoon will be the actual total darkness.
Okay, so is it, what's the duration of it, you say?
The duration of the actual total darkness is right at 3 minutes. It's like
Okay.
2 minutes, 56 seconds. The start from when the moon starts to go in front of the sun to when the moon clears off the sun. So at the very start, it's hard to even pick this out because you're just going to see a little dimple of darkness. But as it goes, you end up with half the sun and all that stuff. But the start is they're saying about 1:49. The end would be at 4:30. Okay. Some people, as soon as the total darkness is gone, are going to hop in their cars and start driving. Other people are going to wait for the whole thing. And just other information here, and I would have never thought about this, but I guess it's something cops do. After large events, they actually take samples from sewer systems, and they can tell the amount of drug use that was done because it's in the system. And they said that the eclipses, that a more recent one was, it covered Utah and Colorado, and they said in like the Denver area, it was like a 500% increase in drugs in the sewer system. So these people aren't just, you know, people who are coming out to sit down, and they bring things along to make that an enjoyable experience to them. There's also, you know, it's large groups. You're going to have criminals who are, you know, you got the idiot who thinks if he shoots 10 people, he's great, so he's going to show up, you know. There's a lot of planning to this that's way beyond me. Like Britton was like, what are you doing about that? I'm not doing nothing. I tell the law enforcement people what's going to happen. I tell fire what's going to happen. I tell EMS what's going to happen. I tell you guys. And it's on everybody to control their groups of people, like the reserve deputies and stuff that they'll probably be calling out that day. You know, I can't tell a reserve deputy he's got to work, but the sheriff can. And it's just a matter of me getting information to people and then bringing that back and putting it into a plan.
Other districts around the state are doing this now also, so it's a statewide and multi-state thing going on across the nation, or across this path anyway. So, and it will happen before this day. People will be showing up, and it will extend beyond this day. Have people, you know, we also be people traveling through trying to chase the eclipse as well. So,
50% chance it's going to be cloudy that day.
yeah,
That's just normal.
It could be
early
rainy,
April.
yeah, a stormy day.
And if we've got sunshine and southern Illinois has got clouds, they're driving here, even though they weren't planned on to be here, because this is their day. They're going to get this done. They've lined their hat with foil and they're ready to go. You know, we just got a plan for the worst situation.
What's the standard on that? Is working through a welding glass, to view that safely?
Nope, that's another thing. There are a lot of people who sell the little paper goggles, okay? If it doesn't have I actually copied this down. The ISO standard 12312-2, they're not certified for this. And even if you have certified glasses, that doesn't mean you can sit there and just stare at the sun for an hour and a half. It's like a minute at a time, look away. And people will say, I didn't get anything from it. Those burns are not going to happen for like 8 hours. I don't know if you've ever gotten welding burns on your eyes. It does not happen today. You wake up in the morning and all of a sudden you can't open your eyes, you can't see. One thing I'm trying to do, and I'm not buying, first off, I'm not gonna give, Joe Q. Public who walks past me a pair of these glasses, because now that's on me. And if he didn't use them right, it's still on me, because I said if you use these, you're great. But I am trying to get some bought for responders, fire departments, law enforcement, EMS, county highway people, stuff like that. Getting an order put in right now, and maybe it's because my order's too small, I'm trying to get 1,000 pair. But it's a thing to work with right now, okay? I don't know if, when I was a kid, they had you poke a hole in a box and you did that little thingy, which was like stupid, but.
Did it work?
I don't know, I never did it because I thought it was stupid. I was like 4 years old,
How do you know it's stupid? Because it might have worked.
They had me bring a shoebox to school.
Did you do it?
I did.
Did it work?
It worked.
There you go.
You were the kid I was laughing at.
I was the stupid one.
But he knew the answer and you didn't.
Okay. But just I'm just bringing this out now. Make
Good.
sure everybody's aware of it. Start the conversation. I read some one of the pieces of paper I have in front of me that they're looking at people to have plans in place by January so they can be tested in March. So that's our goal. That was our goal as a district when we met. That one thing I talked to Brittany the other day. That's what I pointed out too. Probably sometime maybe end of January timeframe at the commissioners meeting, maybe I'll bring back where we're at. Big thing, and like I said, a big push is I'm trying to get media outlets to start telling people, if you're going to do this, fill your gas tank up. If you're going to do this, don't plan on everyone else taking care of you.
Right.
If you're going to do this, don't drive the minute it's over, or carpool. And in the county, if people are planning things, we probably need to get a group together, which I don't know whether that be under economic development, that starts keeping track of this. Where are the big population groups going to be, the big spectator groups in the county, if they start wanting to rent places out like White's Old Airport, or if the schools wanted to rent parking spaces or whatever, just, they make a little money that way, $5 a car or something,
The large event goes through the sheriff's department, so if you want to file one of those so that the county is aware of what's going on in your particular area. I forget what a large event is considered, but anyway, what it is it allows us to have EMS aware of your
I think
facility.
the standard
of
is
your,
just if it affects traffic flow.
Okay.
It's not set on a number of people, if memory serves, it's just if it is gonna affect traffic flow through the county, then it invokes a power to alter traffic flow, shut roads, even reverse traffic on roads.
Right. So.
it allows our county highway an opportunity to help direct or place barricades, whatever, if needed be, at the direction of the sheriff's department. That you file these with the sheriff's department, Mike Holcamp's department down here, and so they have those forms and they approve those forms, and then they just disseminate those to the departments that need to know about it, including ambulance, fire, and highway.
Since you're up here, you want to make a statement on the new ambulance facility and the group that you guys are together that's working on this.
Yeah, we formed this group last year. Britton asked for volunteers and any kind of appointed people. We met, I don't remember now, I'm going to say about 8-9 times. Sat down and decided what was needed as far as an ambulance building. Came up with a design. Since then, in about the last 8 months, there's been a lot of questions going back and forth. Most recent one was, do windows need to open? Answer was, windows in a bedroom need to open for egress. Other windows, if they're cheaper, we don't need to open them. We are looking now at getting the group back together on Wednesday night. Neil Costello from the council is the one who's pushing this. He's got some things he wants to see different, and it's an evolving process. But like people have said, having this ready when the money comes out and being able to say this is a cost. Now, it's my understanding this cost is increasing all the time, as all construction is. So we need to narrow it down and get this financed and get it done. Otherwise, it'll be twice the cost in 2 years.
And who all's on that committee?
Rick Weir from the council, Brent Lewis from Perrysville Fire Department.
He's a chief up there, isn't he?
Yes. Neil Costello, who's from the council.
He's also on the fire department.
Kevin Wickens, who's best in the fire department, and he owns a construction company, and he's a township trustee, and myself. Okay, and we brought in people to meetings, EMS people, to do, you know, what was their needs, what would they like to see. We've done a lot of running around measuring trucks, stuff like that. We've valued trucks, which then when we had an actual qualified person come in, we found out my values were off, which I said from the start, I don't know how to value a truck. So, but there's been a lot of work on this. I think we're sitting pretty good right now. Just keep moving forward.
Okay.
Thank you.
Public comment.
Before that, I'd like to have a motion that RJ continue to provide.
Yeah, exactly.
Mine's in the freezer, so I get mine later.
I can do once a year, Brett, and I think
Do I
that's
have a second on that motion?
I can do once a year.
Doing speeches, but you can see where I'm from.
Yep.
No, the CO2.
How come Vermillion and Vigo County are still exempt from this Wabash Valley resource? I don't get that. That's not right. This is going to be a very bad summer. You got to get a lot of people involved in this. The water is worse every year. And as soon as they get into that water, then it's going to be poison. But this carbon is not good. Not good at all. I left my hearing aids home. I couldn't see it.
Yeah, I got
Just said
mine.
about Wabash. Can't believe I did that again.
Yeah.
I do it
But
myself.
anyway, that's a little heads up. But that's not right. Vigo and Vermillion exempt. I don't know how they, well, it's our president and his boy. Overseas cutting deals. Do you know who owns Wabash? Foreigner owns it.
From Indiana.
Yeah.
India.
Yeah. And I don't know about all the other places up north. I'm sure they own it too.
What's your name, Alan?
Bill Wilson.
Thank you, Bill.
West Terre Haute. You're welcome.
We the county did draft a resolution about the CO2 and the county's position on that. I sent the constitutional question to the Attorney General, State of Indiana Attorney General, because he represents the state legislature. He could, but he declined to offer an opinion as to the constitutionality of the legislation. Effectively, what that says is that it's back to either the county taking this to court, if we want to raise the constitutional question anyway, or individuals who are probably more well placed to do that as well. So that's where we stand as far as what we've done to date. There's another matter that we discussed in executive session as to what we might do, and I don't know if we're ready to say anything about that at this point. That we'll bring forward at a later date, but something else that we're considering also with respect to the CO2 issues.
Thank you. You know, we got to get all the help we can get. And the politicians in Terre Haute, well, we got a new mayor now, so we got a lot of pluses in the last week coming up. I mean, we can see the light now. Our new mayor is going to be with us. The council in Terre Haute, the ones in Indianapolis, they've all been bought out. Hogan bought all them out. I can't believe, you know, like badmouth people, but we've been sold down the river. It's so bad. And my brother and your brother and I were in the service, and not for the United States to go like it did today. I just can't believe this. You know, it's a shame. But everybody's got to get involved in this. This is not right. And, you know, they're bringing this from, I think there's 7 states now. All this poison coming through all these pipelines, and they think they're going to dump it in Vermillion and Vigo County. And it is not going to happen when I'm alive. Will not see it happen. You know, it's so sad. And you go in Terre Haute and a lot of places now, well, I don't know anything about that. They won't know anything about it until they poison the water, or they have a big explosion. And you know, I worked at boilers, high pressure pipe my whole life. I was a pipeline welder, boiler operator, welder. And you cannot run 2,100 pounds pressure like they think they're going to do through the ground and dump it in the well. that will not work. It's like putting a big balloon underneath your feet and blowing it up till it pops. And then it's gonna do nothing. They'll just leave them. But this has got to be stopped. And I don't know how. I'm surprised somebody up north ain't shot somebody yet. If that guy would've come in my house.
Be careful.
The surveyor.
Be careful.
Let's be a little careful with
When
that.
my
Just be
wife
careful
is
with your
in the
words.
bath.
Just, you know what I mean, I'm trying to help you.
Pardon?
Just be careful with your words. You're a public meeting, so
Yeah.
I want to protect you.
I know.
you know.
Thanks, Tom. But can you imagine the guy coming in?
Yeah.
When you're out in the field farming and your wife's in the shower and the surveyor walks in? That's sad. And you know,
Yeah.
this is bad, this is very bad. But this
Yep.
has got to be stopped. Somebody has got to stop it.
We as a county took our position, and there's other things going on that we hadn't made public yet, but
I
we're
know.
working on some other things.
You guys are getting some ordinance written up, and that's good. I don't think they are down there. But our new mayor will help us. I know he's going to.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Sorry,
Thank
I
you.
just have a hard time.
Thank you for your service to our country.
Yeah.
Take care.
Anybody else? It's been a good meeting. I don't think we did an hour, but.
We surpassed that hour.
Okay, well, mine's only gonna just be a couple
I
minutes.
didn't mean that. I didn't mean that.
How are you? Okay, so I opted to wait till later, and now that Bill has been appointed. I just wanted to do a super quick rundown of kind of bring everybody up to speed on what's going on with economic
I
development.
appreciate that, I really do.
So I went through everything actively right now, and it's all on different levels when I say active. It could be a little bit, and it could be a lot of it when it comes to active projects. But right now there's about 14 various projects throughout the county that economic development has some sort of involvement with. So there's a lot of exciting things going on. A lot of it is not public, but there are lots of things working. A big thing, especially since Bill is now appointed to the RDA, I spent the last week I spent 2 days over at the Indiana Economic Development Association conference. Lots of great information there. We had multiple seminars about READY specifically, what they're looking for, things of that sort. So I'm looking forward to sitting down with Bill and being able to go through a lot of those things of exactly what they're looking for in those applications and what they need, along with the Redevelopment Commission and things of that sort. Going forward, of course, with me being new in this position, we're 5 weeks in now, and Doug has moved on and it seems to be settling in with Okra. I've already started working towards meetings with different utility and transit providers, kind of seeing where we stand right now, seeing what our potential is and where we can move forward, what we can grow, what is available. Working with RGL Solutions for different marketing potential projects and things of that sort, which we're meeting with this afternoon on some other things. Purdue Manufacturing has reached out to us. They have some availability with support for meat packaging facilities as far as like funding and grants and improvements. And then I've already set forth goals for the first 6 months of next year on what to look for and what to do for each quarter. So moving forward, there's lots of exciting things. You know, building portfolios, getting things squared away, working with private brokers, not just the state, of being able to see what's available out there, where we can market. Also meeting with you as county office holders of what you would like to see, what specific types of projects you want, what specific kinds of jobs you're looking for, if there's certain types of pay that you're looking for, you know, all of that feedback. And then I think the other important part is making sure that we don't forget about the businesses that we already have here. Investing in them, seeing what their personal goals are. Maybe we have a business that is just in this startup and they're wanting to grow by leaps and bounds. Maybe some are perfectly happy with the level that they are right now and they're happy of just staying there and not growing. But we need to know how to support them and know how to help them grow or help them stay steady where they are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate you coming. I don't know if we made that announcement or not, but Doug Hess did resign of his position as Economic Development Director, and he is taking a new position with Okra, I believe it is, so wish him the best and success. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Cindy Pyle. I basically just have questions today for my own clarification. In the beginning of the CO2, this all is for CO2, were there letters of support from you guys that went either to the state or to Wabash Valley for their support? I mean, saying that you supported the deal?
Not from me, I didn't. You can ask each one. I did not send one.
There was a letter of support from myself sent back in January, and since then, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's been a letter of retraction stated that I no longer support that project. It's online, or I can provide a copy to you as well.
I would appreciate that, yes.
Sure. Just
What
give me
about you,
But as
Commissioner?
county commissioners, we did not approve it, or
Okay.
did not send a
Like a
letter
support
in
letter.
support to that, nor did I.
Okay. The other thing, and you said there was an executive meeting held concerning the CO2 or the pipelines? Is that true?
We cannot.
That was one of the, well,
Wait
we.
a minute, we cannot
yeah,
discuss
yeah.
executive meetings
Okay.
in public.
You can't even say yes or no?
No.
Okay. And because there is a resolution, and this is, again, for clarification on my part, can there be a moratorium put in place to kind of stop things for now until federal regulations are put in place?
That would be the Jonesboro.
The legislature, when they created the statutes that allow for the CO2 project, they put it under the Department of Natural Resources. So as local government, we can't regulate a state agency.
So you can't do
You
a
have to take up your
moratorium.
fight with the
Okay.
state legislature.
Okay.
They specifically cut us out of any legal ability to stop it.
Okay, all right,
We can say we don't support it,
right.
but we can't stop it.
Okay, all right. Again, just for my clarification, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. And before you leave, if you give me your phone number or email, I can
Sure
get that to
thing.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
To anybody else, we're getting down to letting y'all go to lunch.
Quick question. Penny
You
Carpenter.
better come up here.
Hold on, I guess my knees do it.
Everybody has to do it.
Penny Carpenter, taxpayer. The letter that Doug Hess had written back in September that you guys approved the last meeting, it still had a September date on it. Was that date able to be changed, and was that letter then sent out?
It
'Cause I-
was changed and sent back out.
To whomever he had sent his original one to?
That's what
Great.
he clarified with me.
All right, thank you.
I'll make sure that was done before he left.
Who was that letter sent to? There was some confusion on that also.
I can get it and send it to you. It's public information. And give me your information before you leave, and we'll get that to you. But that was done. So I got to put some paperwork. Mr. Meyer, my paperwork for my new house, you have that's been sent in, right? I want to put it on for agenda for the next meeting. That needs to go through for approval, right?
No, we already did, back in August. That's
What?
just us.
Okay. You don't have to worry about that. Anybody else got something to say? This is your opportunity. Any
I'll
closing
make a
comments?
motion to adjourn, but with a Merry Christmas to everyone.
And Merry Christmas to you all.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. I'll second Brendan's motion.